Imagine it is 3 o'clock in the morning and you find yourself staring at the dark ceiling again, feeling that familiar, persistent pressure in your bladder. You slowly sit on the edge of the bed, perhaps waiting a few seconds for your balance to steady before your feet finally touch the cold floor. Like many people over 60, you probably tell yourself that this interrupted sleep is just a natural part of getting older, a simple biological tax you pay for the passing years. But what if those nightly trips to the bathroom aren't just about an aging bladder, but a silent signal your body is sending about your heart and circulation? We often ignore these moments, treating them as a minor inconvenience. Yet this broken rest triggers a hidden chain reaction inside your nervous system. While you are walking through the dark house, your internal organs are actually working overtime, struggling to process a fluid burden that should have been handled hours before you even went to bed. Most of us believe we are doing everything right, perhaps even sipping a warm herbal tea or enjoying a light evening snack to help us relax. However, it is exactly here that we find the hidden error. Certain seemingly harmless habits in your evening routine are forcing your kidneys into high gear exactly when they should be resting. There is a specific biological shift happening in your body right now that changes how you handle salt and water, and ignoring it could be putting your heart at risk. In the next few minutes, we are going to look closely at why your body seems to wake you up exactly when you need rest the most. It is not just about having a small bladder or drinking too much water before bed. There is a specific pattern in your daily habits that most people overlook for decades. I want to show you how certain things you consume in the late afternoon are actually sending a work signal to your internal organs, forcing them to stay awake while your mind tries to sleep. This hidden cycle acts as a silent sleep disruptor, and once you recognize it, you will see your evening routine in a completely different light. But there is something even more surprising that goes beyond just the liquids you drink. We will explore how the position of your legs and even the hidden ingredients in a healthy-looking dinner can trigger a chemical alarm in your brain. This second factor is something almost no one talks about, yet it is often the real reason why the pressure in your vessels might be spiking during those early morning hours. Understanding this connection is the key to regaining the deep, restorative sleep that your heart needs to stay strong and resilient as the years go by. As we move forward, you will discover why a simple cup of tea or even a piece of fruit at the wrong time can completely change how your kidneys function at night. However, there is one specific evening ritual that many of my patients consider very healthy, which might actually be the biggest culprit of all. We are going to uncover exactly what that is and how you can fix it starting tonight. But before we get to that specific error, we need to understand the strange way your circulation changes the moment your head hits the pillow. Let's look at a very common habit that many of my patients consider a healthy way to end the day. You might enjoy a warm cup of herbal tea or a light, seemingly nutritious soup for dinner, thinking you are helping your body wind down for rest. However, many of these evening choices contain hidden triggers that signal your kidneys to start a massive filtering process right when you are trying to enter deep sleep. Instead of resting, your internal system begins a night shift of processing fluids and minerals that should have been cleared hours earlier. This frustrating cycle of waking up multiple times to use the bathroom is what we call nocturia, which simply means your body is producing an excessive amount of urine during your sleeping hours. If you want to better understand these silent signals your body sends during the night, you can follow me on this channel. It is vital to realize that this isn't just an inevitable old bladder problem. It is actually a sign that your circulation is struggling to balance itself the moment you become horizontal. While the tea or the hidden salt in your dinner is a major factor, there is another detail that almost no one notices until it is too late. It involves how your body stores fluid in your lower legs throughout the day, and the surprising way that fluid rushes back to your heart the moment you finally put your feet up. This creates a secondary surge of liquid into your bloodstream that acts like a chemical alarm clock for your brain, and we are going to explore exactly how this hidden fluid shift happens next. Think of your legs during the day like a sponge that slowly soaks up water as you walk and sit. Because of gravity, much of the fluid you consume stays down there in your ankles and calves, often causing a bit of swelling you might not even notice. However, the moment you lie down flat in bed, that bottle of fluid tips over and levels out. This sudden rush of liquid back toward your heart tells your brain that there is too much volume in your blood vessels, triggering an urgent need to filter it out immediately. This process is managed by a special messenger in your body called the antidiuretic hormone, or ADH, which normally tells your kidneys to slow down and save water while you sleep. As we get older, our bodies sometimes produce less of this sleep signal hormone, or the kidneys simply become less responsive to it. What you thought was just a weak or aging bladder is often actually your circulation trying to balance itself out. It is not necessarily that your bladder has shrunk. It is that your kidneys are receiving a work order to produce more fluid than they should during the night. Understanding this shift is the first step toward regaining control, because it means the problem isn't just getting old, but a manageable biological reaction. When your brain receives this signal of high blood volume, it chooses to wake you up because it prioritizes protecting your heart and vessels from too much pressure. This is why you feel that sudden, sharp urge at 3 in the morning. However, we are about to see how certain hidden ingredients in your dinner can make this hormonal work order much louder and more frequent than it needs to be. Now that we understand how gravity and hormones work against us while we sleep, it is time to look at why this biological process becomes so aggressive for some people. You might think you are managing your evening perfectly, but there is one specific mistake made in the kitchen that acts like a chemical trigger for your kidneys. It is a habit often promoted as a healthy way to detoxify your body before bed, yet it is actually the hidden reason your sleep remains broken. I recall a patient who came to my office exhausted, convinced their heart was failing because they woke up 4 times every night. They followed a popular evening ritual they believed was healthy. However, we found a tiny detail that was sabotaging their entire system. This leads us to a common error that might be the missing piece in your own nightly puzzle. Seeing how it worked in a real case will prove just how powerful these small habits truly are. In my clinical practice, I often meet patients like Robert, a healthy 70-year-old who had simply accepted waking up 4 times a night as an inevitable part of his birthday count. He sat in my office, rubbing his eyes, convinced his bladder was shrinking or that his heart was starting to fail. Like many people his age, he had normalized this exhaustion, believing that a full night of rest was a luxury of the past. He did not realize that his body was actually screaming for a change in his daily rhythm. When we looked closer at Robert's routine, we found a habit he considered incredibly healthy: a large bowl of vegetable soup and a specific herbal infusion right before bed. He thought he was hydrating and nourishing his body, but he was actually triggering a massive osmotic reaction, which is just a fancy way of saying his body was pulling in too much water. Because his system was now more sensitive to salts and fluids, those evening choices were forcing his kidneys to work a double shift. His body was not failing, it was simply responding to the workload he was giving it at the wrong hour. The most revealing moment came when we discussed the slight swelling Robert noticed in his ankles every evening. I explained that while he was sitting in his favorite chair, gravity was storing fluid in his lower legs like a silent reservoir. The moment he lay down to sleep, that fluid rushed back into his circulation, tricking his brain into thinking his blood pressure was too high. To protect his heart, his brain sent an emergency signal to his kidneys to flush that extra volume out immediately, resulting in those urgent midnight trips. By simply adjusting the timing of his fluids and adding a few minutes of leg elevation in the late afternoon, Robert's life changed within a week. He went from 4 wake-up calls to just 1, and eventually he began sleeping through the entire night again. This was not a medical miracle. It was simply aligning his habits with his body's changing biology. However, there is one more hidden factor in your evening meal that can make this entire process even more aggressive, and it is something you likely have in your pantry right now. Building on this understanding of fluid shifts, we must look at a few everyday habits that seem completely innocent, but actually act as a chemical trigger for your kidneys. One of the most common errors I see is the healthy evening snack, such as a large serving of fruit. While nutritious, the natural sugars and high water content create an osmotic load. This means your body is forced to process extra liquid and sugar exactly when your internal systems should be slowing down for the night. Another hidden culprit is the salt found in many light dinners, even in foods we consider healthy. Sodium acts like a powerful magnet in your bloodstream, holding on to every drop of water it can find. This salt trap keeps fluid locked in your tissues while you are upright, but once you lie down, your body recognizes the excess volume and starts an emergency filtration process. You might think you are waking up because of age, but your kidneys are simply responding to that hidden salt from hours earlier. We also have to consider the timing of stimulants, like that late afternoon cup of coffee or even a piece of dark chocolate after dinner. Many people believe that if they can fall asleep easily, the caffeine isn't affecting them, but this is a common misconception. Caffeine is a natural diuretic, which is a substance that tells your kidneys to produce more urine. Even if your mind is tired, these chemicals are sending a loud work order to your internal organs, ensuring your sleep remains shallow and frequently interrupted. But perhaps the most surprising mistake involves your physical environment rather than just what you eat or drink. Many people try to help their circulation by using certain types of support or positions in bed that actually make nightly bathroom trips more frequent. This habit feels very comforting in the moment, yet it is often the hidden reason why your brain stays in a state of high alert. Understanding how this simple environmental factor changes your internal pressure is the final piece of the puzzle we are about to solve. Now that we have seen how these hidden habits trigger a nightly work order for your kidneys, you might be wondering if your body is already showing signs of this internal struggle. One subtle sign you can check right now is a faint indentation left by your socks at the end of the day. This simple mark suggests your body is storing excess fluid in your lower legs. You might also notice a persistent heaviness in your calves, or a strange coldness in your feet that blankets cannot fix. Beyond the physical swelling, pay close attention to how you feel the next morning, especially if you experience a lingering mental fog or a slight racing heart when you first sit up. These are signs that your cardiovascular system has been working a night shift to process fluids instead of resting. It is worth noting these 3 things: morning exhaustion, brain fog, and evening swelling. If you recognize them, your body is telling you that the quality of your rest is being sacrificed to manage this hidden fluid burden. While these signals are often manageable through simple habit changes, it is vital to know when to seek professional help immediately. If you experience sudden chest pain, severe shortness of breath that worsens when lying flat, or if your leg swelling becomes painfully red and warm, please consult a medical professional. These intense symptoms require a formal evaluation to ensure your heart is protected. For most, however, recognizing these lighter signals today is the first step toward reclaiming the deep, uninterrupted sleep that your body truly deserves. To begin reclaiming your nights, consider a simple shift in how you time your liquids. Try to finish your main intake of water or herbal infusions at least 2 or 3 hours before you plan to go to sleep. To help manage that fluid sponge effect we discussed, try elevating your legs above your heart for about 30 minutes in the late afternoon. This allows your kidneys to process that extra volume while you are still awake, rather than waiting until you lie down. It is worth remembering these two steps: early hydration and afternoon elevation. Another practical change involves the composition of your evening meal. Since sodium acts like a magnet for water, reducing hidden salts in your dinner can significantly lower the pressure on your circulation. If you enjoy fruit in the evening, try moving that snack to lunchtime to avoid the workload of natural sugars late at night. By simplifying your evening plate, you are essentially giving your metabolic system a head start on its nightly rest. These small culinary shifts often make the chemical work order for your kidneys much quieter and less urgent. We should also consider our daily stimulants and how they linger in our system. Even if you feel caffeine does not prevent you from falling asleep, its diuretic effect can still trigger those midnight bathroom trips. Try moving your last cup of coffee to before 2 in the afternoon to give your body time to clear those chemicals. Additionally, pay attention to your sleeping posture. Sometimes using very high pillows under your legs all night can force fluid back to the heart too quickly. A more natural, level position often helps your circulation stay steady. Adopting these changes is not about following a rigid protocol, but rather about aligning your habits with your body's changing rhythm. It often takes a few days for your internal hormones to adjust to a new schedule, so be patient as your system finds its balance. By taking these small preventive steps, you are protecting your heart and reclaiming the restorative sleep you deserve. Remember, your biology is not your enemy. It is a sensitive system that functions best when we provide the right environment for deep, uninterrupted rest. Taking back control of your nights is one of the most powerful steps you can take to protect your long-term health and independence. By understanding these subtle signals and adjusting your evening routine, you are giving your heart and brain the precious time they need to truly recharge. These small, consistent changes are about more than just avoiding a trip to the bathroom. They are about preserving your energy and ensuring you have the vitality to enjoy your life for many years to come. If you found this information helpful and want to continue learning how to listen to your body's silent language, I invite you to follow me here on this channel. Your health journey is a shared path, and I would love to hear from you directly as we move forward together. Please write in the comments below which health topic or specific concern you would like me to address in my upcoming videos. Your input ensures that we continue to focus on the things that matter most to your well-being.